and I will do puppet animal.
There we go. Skills, man. Mad skills.
Spirit fingers.
Hey, here we are. I found us.
I'm Mark.
And I'm Russ. And this is a spirited endeavor. And it's going to be a fun night.
It really is. So, we were listening to some classic rock at a restaurant not long ago, and we heard one bourbon, one scotch, and one beer by George Thorogood and the Destroyers, and that
right.
gave us inspiration.
So here we are. We have one bourbon, one scotch, and one beer. And we have a pretty good assortment, actually. I mean, we didn't go bland by any stretch of the imagination.
No, not at all. So we're going to be, our bourbon tonight is going to be the Henry McKenna. This is a bottled and bond edition. This is, and bottle and bond, you know, what it means by that is that it's been stored in a government supervised warehouse for 4 years. It is of 1 year's distillation of one distillery, and in fact, I believe this one was 1 barrel. And it's got to be 50% ABV or 100 proof, and then this one has been aged for 10 years. So that's going to be really, really fun to get into tonight.
Well, we were talking about this one amongst ourselves a little earlier, and the mash bill on this one's really interesting as well. If I remember correctly, it was around 70 some odd percent corn, and then the rest was split between malt and then rye. So you do get a little bit of each in it, which I thought was interesting. Really, really nice.
And then also to amp up the interest of this one too is it's been aged in oak barrels that have gone 40 seasons, 40 Kentucky seasons, and so that's going to really bring some interesting, fun flavors to the palate.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think that to me is probably one of the more unique aspects, because I don't think I've ever heard of anybody else doing that.
No.
And that's a really interesting way of affecting the wood and the wood impact on the whiskey.
It's the truth. I'm curious to see, if it's going to have, a lot of barrel spice to it, what it's, if it's going to be really mellow. I really suspect that there's going to be, it's going to be a vanilla bomb for sure.
I think so.
Yeah.
I would agree with you on that one. And then next in line, we've got our Ledaig, which again, being a good quality Scotch, is spelled completely different from how it's pronounced. Some call it Ledaig, depending upon where you are in Scotland, it might be Ledaig.
Yeah, Ledaig. Yeah.
I think, but I personally prefer Ledaig myself. It's a little easier to say. But it is another island distillery. This one is the Isle of Mull. Normally we cover a lot of Islay, Islay, which is another island. So I expect this to have some similarities to that as far as being that kind of seaside peated whiskey. If you like smoky, peaty, this is probably going to be up your alley. That is also a 10-year, and that one's at 46% ABV, so not quite as strong as the Henry McKenna, but in similar ballpark.
Absolutely. Well, I expect this to be like a first cousin to the Islas, and so I'm really excited to try that one.
Yeah.
And then our third tonight is a beer by Innis and Gunn, and this one is a Scotch whiskey barrel ale. So it has been aged in whiskey barrels, in Scotch barrels, in fact. So we're just kind of curious to see. We've been doing whiskeys for a while, and neither one of us have been doing a lot with beer these days. So it'll be really cool to see, how the barrel influence.
I agree. What we can pick
Can
up.
we pick out? Yeah.
Well, and I guess my concern with that is we're, again, one bourbon, one scotch, one beer. Well, the bourbon I don't think is going to be tamed by any stretch of the imagination, especially having a little bit of that rye to it. The scotch most certainly isn't, being that it's going to be pretty smoky and peaty. And then we've got this beer, which I don't expect to be tame on flavor either. So this is going to be a fun comparison.
Right. Now, beer and whiskey goes very well together. Their whiskey has a beer phase to it when it's being distilled, and and then whiskey is just aged further.
Yep.
And so it'll be really interesting to to try that with the two. You see it all the time. People get people order a shot with a beer chaser, that kind of thing. So we're gonna do that tonight.
That's right, exactly. So we're starting off with a bourbon, yeah?
Let's do it.
Awesome. So Henry McKenna, 10-year.
10-year. Oh wow! So that is very, very vanilla.
Yeah, really. The vanilla's forward. You pick up a little bit of that rye.
Oh yeah, I'm getting little herbal notes from the
Just
rye.
A little bit. Definitely the vanilla.
Yeah, and I'm getting the corn in that too. So you can definitely get that corn on the cob kind of flavor to it. But it's like it's been caramelized a little bit.
I agree.
Ooh,
and at about 70%, corn. You would expect that to be forward, but it's amazing that around 10% rye in this is really that present on the nose.
Yeah. I'm really getting that floral aspect of the rye. Certainly it plays well. I mean, it's like the I'm not picking up a lot of the malt in that.
No.
But it looks like the rye and the bourbon play. The corn really play well together.
Yeah, they do. And you do get some alcohol vapors on the nose, but they're not sharp by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
So you can put your nose right down in that one and take a whiff. And while you will get the vapors, it's not harsh at all.
All right, I'm gonna.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I see the red.
So,
Wow.
Yeah. That is, no doubt, it's a bourbon. It comes across like a bourbon. Getting a little barrel spice, getting a lot of vanilla, and getting that little bit of a rye component.
Yeah, it's got those herbal notes to it, to the rye. Very vanilla forward. This is as vanilla bomb as I've ever had.
Yeah, I'm still getting it on the up through the sinuses after the fact.
Yeah, I'm getting a little candy influence in there. I'm not quite sure, but I'm also getting that sweetness, that caramel. Like caramel corn.
And it's definitely not harsh. It's well rounded. There are no sharp edges. The flavors all complement one another. It's not too rye forward, but the rye adds just a nice little bit of roundness and complexity to it.
Yeah, all the flavors play really well together.
Yeah.
This is, and I hate to use the S word, but it's smooth.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
No, that's a really easy sipper, no doubt about it. And there's plenty of complexity. I will say, bourbon-wise, I would put this up towards the top of my list for that very reason.
I'm getting a little bit of the barrel spice in that. A couple of tannins in there, but it's not drying.
No, it's definitely not drying, not by any stretch of the imagination. Something I have to mention is the oils on this are really good. It's got a really good mouthfeel, really good texture. It's kind of viscous.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, no chill filtration or anything of that nature, and based on the proof, the oils are definitely present there. This is one that'll linger for a bit.
Yeah, and the flavor on that is just lingering, and I just keep getting more and more of that caramel corn, that the herbal notes, and that I'm not really getting a lot of like maltiness or anything in there, but it's certainly but everything that I'm tasting here just plays well with one another.
Agreed. And I wonder if that malt aspect, because there is a little bit of malt to this one, I wonder if it's, because we're not really getting the flavors from that, but I wonder if that's what's helping to round this out a little bit and allow that rye to play nicely with the corn. Because again, you put rye in something, and rye is so forward and overpowering in some cases. In this case, it's really not. It just adds a nice little touch to it.
This is really pleasant.
It really is. It's a good one.
I could spend an evening just sitting down in a chair and listening to some music and just enjoying the heck out of this.
Mm-hmm. And while it is smooth and well rounded, there's enough there where I think it would hold up to water and ice.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Well, here, we'll get some water.
Yeah. I will say I am enjoying it neat though.
Okay, I put about 5 drops of what we had remaining in the glass here.
Yeah.
Now I get barrel spice.
Mm-hmm.
That is spicy.
Wow. Yeah. Tannins came forward. Now you get that kind of drying nature on the tongue, and the barrel spice definitely kicked up. That said, what's funny is the other flavors didn't get pushed to the rear. You still get the vanilla, you still get the rye, but it most certainly kicked up the barrel spice. No doubt about that.
I bet you this would hold up well with a couple of ice cubes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In fact, I think that may be the way to drink this.
Yeah, nice summer day. I think this would be a really good one to sip.
Oh, yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, I am too. Now this was kind of hard to get. They do a limited number of barrels at my local package store over at Turtle Creek. The fine folks there, it would only let you get 1 bottle of this, and so that was it was just kind of a find. They highly recommended it. It was about $54 for the bottle.
Good find.
So yeah, not bad at all.
No.
And aged 10 years, a bourbon aged 10 years, that's nice.
I'm surprised with the 10-year age that there isn't more barrel spice and barrel impact, but that must go back to the aging of those barrels that you mentioned previously.
Well, 40 Kentucky seasons.
Yeah, that's got to let some of the oils out of the wood, and maybe that way the barrel impact is lessened.
Yeah, it's probably tamed it down quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But man, what a fun whiskey that is.
Yeah, I like that one. And with a little bit of water cleansing the palate, you get a little bit of fruit to that too, which is really nice.
Speaking of which, room.
Yeah, cleansing of the palate between these ones I think is going to be pretty crucial. All right, so we've gone through 1 bourbon, and now it is time for 1 Scotch.
All right,
so again, this is the Ledaig 10. And again, you wouldn't know that by looking at the spelling on the bottle. But here we are.
Yep,
Oh, wow.
The Scottish likes to throw a bunch of consonants together and say, it doesn't sound like any of that.
Exactly. Wow, on the nose, totally different animal.
Yeah. So, peat, a little bit of smoke. Again, I'm getting a lot of vanilla in that too.
A lot of vanilla, very earthy, and that's that peat aspect. It reminds me of digging in the garden.
Yes.
That kind of aspect to it.
Yeah, you get a little bit of dirt underneath your fingernails,
Yeah.
and you're kicking up some loose loam, and that's
Yep, exactly.
you're getting that kind of mossy aspect of it.
Yeah, totally different nose, man. It's amazing.
Unbelievable, night and day.
Yeah.
Night and day. Now I'm getting a little like pear or something along those lines, of very light fruit.
Mm-hmm. But the strongest element is definitely the peat. There's no doubt about it. That earthy nature to it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, the oils on that are beautiful too.
Well, and again, non-chill filtered, no color added, nothing of that nature, and at 46%, yeah, the oils are certainly present on this one, there's no doubt. And from a color standpoint, again, natural color, that's kind of a golden color. Not much in the way of amber, there really isn't any red hue or anything to that nature to it, but this is bottled in ex-bourbon cask, so that is to be expected.
All right, well, I expect this to have really good mouthfeel too.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Cheers. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Really nice oils on that. Really nice oils.
I thought that Henry McKenna was smooth.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, there is really no bite to that. You wouldn't even know there was alcohol involved in this process as far as any sort of vapors or bite or anything of that nature. And talk about just smooth and well-rounded.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of a little barrel spice on that, but it's very welcome. It plays real well with the flavors, the peat and the smoke and everything. Really played well, with the vanilla.
It's an interesting one because initially I was getting that earthy, peaty aspect, and now I'm getting more of a barbecue aspect to it on the exhale through the sinuses that I don't think I've noticed in this particular one before.
I'm getting, on the exhale there, I'm getting like that green apple.
Yeah.
That, like that Jolly Rancher, green apple. It's sweet. It's, so, yeah, I mean, this is delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, now sniffing it again, I'm really getting that brine in there.
It's interesting, I found that when you go between two different dissimilar whiskeys, drinking one will help you pick up on things in the second one that you may not normally see just because of the comparison.
Yeah,
wow. Oh yeah, now I'm getting that green apple.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
and it's not strong. It's subtle, and it's on the back end when when you breathe in and you let some of that air into your mouth and then exhale through your nose, you get those vapors coming through your sinuses, and that's where I seem to pick that up.
Yeah.
That's a really pleasant whiskey, though.
I'm really enjoying that one.
It's not as heavy as some of the Islas we've had, but it still has a lot of similarities.
Right. Now I'm also thinking too that maybe the winter is the wrong season to drink this one. I think that this might play well with like a late summer, early fall. Get some of those those harvest fruits in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there are certainly some Islas that are real heavy and dark, and that to me is sitting in front of a fire on a cold night.
Yes.
This one has some lighter aspects to it that I would have to agree. I would say spring or fall for me would be perfect for this.
Yeah.
And again, that's the Isle of Mull. So a little bit of a different animal. So this distillery, Ledaig, is actually owned by Tobermory, and Tobermory also produces their own whiskey, which is a bit of a different animal. And I think that's all that's there on the Isle of Mull, if I remember correctly. So it's a fairly remote, of course, pretty harsh climate.
Yeah. Man, I dig that one.
That green apple keeps coming back.
It really does.
End.
Yeah.
I really like that. It offsets the peat and the earthiness very well. I really like that. That's good. Both very good whiskeys, completely different animals. You go from a bourbon that's got a little bit of a rye component to a Scotch that's got a pretty good peat and smoke component. But they do seem to play well together. I mean, it wasn't off-putting going from one to the other. It was certainly different, though.
It was different, and one. I mean, they're helping me appreciate the other.
Exactly. Yep, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Really cool, man.
All right, very good.
So,
all right,
we're down to the beer component.
The beer.
Dun 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 dun.
All right. So,
this one's been aged. I'm just kidding.
This is a 20-year-old beer, a little skunky.
That's right. It's aged in sherry casks.
So this beer has been aged in Scotch barrels, and it should be picking up a little bit of the Scotch influence and everything in it.
I'll be curious to see how much of that we pick up on having had something that's a very heavily peated Scotch.
Right.
How this stands up to it. It's just funny to me. Okay, now that is interesting because, look, and we've talked about this before.
Yep.
Through this whiskey journey and taking your time to appreciate a whiskey, your palate definitely changes. Your sensitivity to taste, your sensitivity to smell definitely evolves and develops over time. And I found myself, because I had a stout last night, and the first thing I did was nosed it.
I know, right?
It's the funniest thing. And you actually pick stuff up, whereas before I probably wouldn't have. But yeah, I mean, going from these to this.
Yeah, I do this all the time now.
It's crazy.
I'll be sniffing. I'm like, all right, so that's lemonade.
Yeah.
I'm really getting lemons on the.
Yeah, that's definitely dryer sheet. No, but it is interesting. Wow. So that with this, oddly, I get hops. I get that kind of it smells refreshing.
It really does, and It does have a couple of those Scotch notes in it. So I am getting a little bit of the barley influence in that. I mean, of course, the beer. I mean, barley but
It comes across like an IPA almost.
a little bit.
Is it?
I don't think it is, but it definitely has kind of that winey aspect to it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm picking up on it.
All right.
It's amazing how tame that tastes now.
Yeah. The carbonation is
Oh,
a little
it's a
funny
little-
going from a whiskey to this, no doubt.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I think if I were to drink this first and then go to the shot,
Different animal
yeah,
entirely.
yeah.
Yeah. There is there's a bit of a citrus nature to this though.
Yeah, I'm picking up that, and that's probably the hops in it. You know, it's bringing that forward.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of a sour component that I like on the tongue initially, and it's real forward.
Now, I drank Innis and Gunn for a while, years ago, and because I liked, the age that they, them aging it in the various barrels, whether it was bourbon or Scotch or Irish whiskey or rum casks, and it really brought some interesting flavors to this.
Yeah.
I think with this, with the Scotch influence on it, I'd be hard pressed to drink something else, honestly,
Yeah.
because I'm craving that. I crave that now.
Well, and there's a certain complexity that you get that you just acclimate to, and you kind of start looking for that same complexity in everything else, and when you don't find it, sometimes it's a bit disappointing. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Well, imagine going, and I'm not crapping on vodka, there's certainly a place for it, but imagine going from Scotch to vodka.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be lost. Or for that matter, the Henry McKenna, because again, that's packed with flavor.
Yeah.
I will say that is refreshing though. I like the
I do like
citrus
that.
aspect to it. I like that little bit of a sour note to it.
And
And the nose is very refreshing on it.
yeah, and I like that it does have some Scotch notes to it.
Yeah.
I think it would play well with Scotch.
Yeah, it's funny on the exhale I get a little bit of that through the sinuses.
Mm-hmm.
Just a touch. I mean, it's not strong by any stretch.
Now I feel like I could drink that all day.
Now, good question. What do you think? What does the six cost? The 6-pack for this.
Oh, I think
roughly.
that was $12,
Yeah.
$14 maybe. It was kind of in that price range for the Innis and Gunn.
That's not bad. And that's not a mowing the lawn kind of beer.
Mm-mm.
There are beers for that. For me, PBR is that beer. This one I don't put in that category. This is a hot day, sitting on the porch, want to sip something and enjoy it. This is the one because there is some flavor. There's some good flavors to this.
Yeah, for sure.
It is not what I would consider light, but it does have that citrus component that keeps it from being overly heavy.
Right.
So it's a pretty good mix, I think, and I think the complexity it deserves its time instead of just plowing through it.
Exactly, and I think it has a place on this table.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt. I agree with you. Had we had that first, I think our experience with it would have been a little bit different because it really is competing against some very strong flavors. But it seems to hold up pretty well. I found it to be refreshing after that.
Yeah, I've got the hiccups now. I don't know what happened there. All right. Yeah, this was a fun night.
Yeah, so one bourbon, one scotch, and one beer. I think we are well rounded for the evening. That
I
was
think
fun,
so.
actually. That was a really good idea.
All right.
So we've got some interesting stuff coming up. We've been doing a little experimentation,
Yeah.
and we might try to involve you guys, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, please explain.
So Whiskey Wednesday, we've come across something a little interesting, and we'd like to get your take on it. So we're going to do a little bit of an experiment. So Whiskey Wednesday, we're going to go live, and it's going to be Mark, Henry, myself, and we're going to do this experiment as well. And we'd like you guys to follow along to see what your experience is with this. So what we're going to do is Wednesday morning, each of us is going to pour just a dram of whiskey. Whatever it is, doesn't matter if it's bourbon, it's scotch, whatever suits you. Pour that dram in the morning, put it somewhere safe for the day, and just let it sit there. And then that night, when we go live, we're going to pour a fresh dram, and we're going to compare the one that sat all day versus the one that we just poured, and see just how much of an influence that exposure to the air has. Because realistically speaking, that's what happens in your bottle. So that's my Ledaig, and you can see it is rather low in the bottle versus this one, which is brand new, basically. And I'm curious to see just how much difference you can see when it comes to the air impacting that whiskey.
Yeah, interestingly, we did a priming the pump episode where we did the two side by side, and we tried Russ's bottle that has been opened and the oxygen has gotten to it, and then we tried this one that had the neck pour, and that one's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun to share.
Yeah, that'll go along with what we're gonna do on Whiskey Wednesday, and I'll be curious to see what everybody else notices. So we'll post up about this probably tomorrow or Monday as a reminder, and then again on Wednesday morning, first thing in the morning, I'll post up a reminder, hey, don't forget to pour your dram and just let it sit. And again, we don't care what it is. Whatever you happen to have on the shelf, your preferred beverage, put it somewhere safe so the dogs don't get to it, because our dogs apparently get to pretty much everything in our house. But pour it, put it somewhere safe, and let it sit for the day and let the air get to it. And that night, we'll compare that to a fresh pour and see exactly what that air does for it.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. So I'm gonna open a new one for this, so we can get the neck pour in that glass, and we're gonna just let it sit, and then we're going to do the rest of the neck pour that night.
Yeah, it should be interesting. We've got a few other ideas like that that we're going to try introducing to kind of get you guys involved, to where you can experiment with some stuff and maybe have some different experiences that maybe we all learn something from it. So I'm kind of looking forward to those.
I am too.
So Whiskey Wednesday, we're going to be live, so that'll be a bit of a different animal for us. So please join us.
Yeah, very good.
Ron.
Yeah, Ron.
Ron, I hope you're paying attention, Ron.
All right, Tom, you too. Scott Cunningham, if you're listening, you too. All right. So next week we're gonna try something. Well, we haven't decided what we're gonna do next week.
No,
yet.
we really haven't actually. Where do we want to go for next week? Do we want to? Well, I gotta be honest with you. The Henry McKenna guy, I'm kind of on a bit of a bourbon kick right now, and
okay.
I almost hate to say that, being a Scotch guy.
Well, I tell you what, I've got several bourbons in bond.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so why don't we do a bourbon?
Okay, and I've got some bourbons I can bring over too. Matter of fact, yeah, we've got plenty.
Yeah, we got plenty.
So we'll do something with bourbon. I'm not quite sure what, but we'll figure it out. But you've got plenty bottled and bond from the sound.
Yeah, I think I've got 3 bottled and bonds, so we can certainly put them side by side.
Cool.
And and then kind of go down the bourbon trail.
Now, what do you have remaining for rye at this point? Do you have any?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so maybe at some point we do an episode on rye as well.
Yes, I've got Pikesville straight rye.
Oh, yeah, I like that bottle too. Okay, so we'll do a rye episode at some point as well, because that's such a unique flavor component goes with rye.
Yeah, twist my arm to pick up another High West.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, and we'll add to our bourbon collection and start kind of comparing some different bourbons. But I think we kind of hit a high point with this one. That was
fun. I've done some bourbons in the past, but it was always things like Maker's Mark or pretty straight up stuff. But now that we've found a couple of these. Yeah. Wellers. I've got this.
Well, we did the Old Fourth, which was really good. I think we both really enjoyed that one.
Yeah,
the Henry McKenna's been good.
I've got this one sitting out there, the Colonel E.H. Taylor. This is also a single barrel. So maybe we'll break this one out next week.
Cool. Yeah, I have to agree. I think I maybe misjudged bourbon based on previous experience with maybe some less than stellar bourbons, but I will admit that what we've been sampling as of late, the Old Fourth as well as the Henry McKenna, I've enjoyed both of those thoroughly, and look forward to kind of seeing what other distilleries have to offer.
Very true.
Excellent. So hopefully you guys join us on Wednesday. I think it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun.
Next Saturday should be a lot of fun too. So
Yeah.
we'll post up something on that. I'll try to do that earlier in the week.
And I'm going to be posting up another episode of Priming the Pump very shortly, as a matter of fact. So you'll see that coming up as well. And again, the Priming the Pump is generally a 5-minute review or less of an individual whiskey, whether that's Scotch or bourbon. So be sure to check that out.
All right, very good. All right, well, find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. Just type Added Spirited Endeavor, and you'll find our page and us acting like idiots. And
We're very good at.
we're very good at it. And we enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
So let us know what you're drinking, how you're drinking it, and certainly give us some suggestions.
Yeah, definitely. We look forward to hearing from you. Tell us what you guys like for bourbon. Again, we're fairly new to this bourbon journey. If there's one in particular, or a rye for that matter, that you think stands out and something we need to try, by all means, let us know. We'll probably do it.
We're very open.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, folks. All right, have a good night.
Thanks for joining. Take care, guys.
Bye.